JCPenney is helping hardworking families across America save even more all Labor Day weekend. That's right, we got you. Celebrate a 4-day super savings weekend with 20% off already great prices. Plus, save an extra 10% across the store. That's extra savings in addition to our huge end of summer deals. Grab your coupon on the JCP app and save all you want. Shopping is back. JCPenney. Coupon required and valid on select styles 9/2 to 9/5. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Stand by. The vacuum tubes are warming up. This is a special live broadcast right here on Georgia Radio.
Happy Wednesday to you. Matt Jolley here on Neighbor to Neighbor. Glad to be here with you. Listen, if you have not already downloaded the My Georgia Radio app, go out and find it. It's right there at the Apple Store as well as the Google Play Store, and it works in your car or your truck. If you've got one of those fancy radios, you just plug it in, and the app comes right up. You can listen to the podcast. You can listen to just anything right there on the My Georgia Radio app, and the best part is it's absolutely free. Then you get the music 24/7, the 90s country, the classic country that we play here, and, of course, all of the Georgia singer-songwriters like Zach Haines, who's coming on here in just a few minutes. We're going to hear from him, a Iraq War veteran whose story is one you're going to want to hear. We're talking about the Wedowee Rodeo. It's the Wedowee Roundup going on out there here in just a few more weeks, mid-October. Now, I know I can already hear you down there, Susan. That's not in Georgia. Well, it's not in Georgia. It's just over the state line. Here to talk to us about it is the Cowboy Shop owner herself, Miss Shari Wilkins, from right there in Roopville, Georgia. Good morning, Shari.
Good morning. Yes, good morning to you.
You own a Cowboy Shop, and I just think that's really cool.
I love it.
When you were on the last time, you told us just a little bit about the shop. Would you mind refreshing our memory, though?
Not at all. We actually opened 20 years ago, so this year was our 20th anniversary. Started out in a little small building up on the hill beside the deer farm, and 4 years later moved into a larger building down the road. Eventually bought the building, so we now own it. It's about 13,000 square feet. About 9,000 is the western part. We have clothing, boots, tack, really good children's department, and then we also sell feed and hay.
Did you just wake up one day and say, I ought to go into the retail business? Or how did that happen for you?
Actually, I had 3 jobs in my entire life. I had worked at a bank and at a finance company, and in between that, at a mortgage office. So I was managing a finance company, and they had sold us 3 or 4 times. I was happy enough to be able to stay the manager each time, but it was learning a new computer system, new bosses, total changes. I had 2 young boys. They cut out all the overtime for the employees, and I was salaried, so they were working me from can to can't. And I started looking elsewhere and thought about nursing. Then I thought about chicken houses until they told me you had to wring their necks when they were sick. And I was like, that's not going to work because I'd want to take them all to the vet. So I ended up talking with a friend that owned a Western store called the Cowboy Shop in Mansfield, Georgia. And he worked a lot of rodeos and was wanting to close the storefront down. So we made a deal. I bought all his merchandise out, and I went looking for a place to put the shop. And I approached the deer farm and said, why don't you build me a building up here beside y'all and let me rent it? And I did. And they told me later that they thought I would last about 6 months and that would be their new parts store. So thankfully we proved them wrong, and we're still hanging in there after all these years.
I just think it's great. And it's, today we don't think that much about it. But I mean, when you started this 20 years ago, alone and unafraid in the feed business and the tack business, I mean, this is it's a tough business to be in. But out there in West Georgia, though, you've just you've made a name for yourself.
Well, thank you so much. I tell you, the Tractor Supply opened the same time we did, but I did not know it whenever I was making my plans. And of course, once I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? But it's all worked out, and we've grown and expanded and, started working rodeos and advertising the business and putting on rodeos. And it just all kind of goes hand in hand with my hobby, of course, which is barrel racing. So And then I also put on some barrel races down here at the Heard County Covered Arena, and it just all goes well together.
Your passion for rodeo, no doubt, was a help in making this decision. But it's taken a while for the two roads to cross. And I think that so many people, present company included, get into something that they really, really love and then try to figure out the business as it's going along. You went into this with eyes wide open about the business and ran for it. And now you're able to kind of branch out a little bit. You're doing this Wedowee Roundup Pro Rodeo October 21st and 22nd. And this is just over the state line there by Lake Wedowee. Talk to me about this, because this is a big event.
It is. We're super excited to add this one. The Ag Center's been closed for a couple of years, and they approached me a few months ago and said, we're ready to open back up. And, would you like to put on a rodeo? And it had always been a really good location, a really good place. And we were super excited to be the ones they asked, and obviously jumped all over it. And I was a little apprehensive because, of course, Carrollton's been going on so long. It's very easy to sell the sponsorships. You pick up the telephone and everybody's like, yeah, give me what I had last year, basically. So I was a little apprehensive about that, but everybody's been great. We've had really good luck. Everybody seems super excited to have us down there, and I know we're going to pack it out and have a great crowd.
Fun rodeo, and you have some more around West Georgia that you do. Talk to us about the business of rodeo. If somebody's listening right now and they're thinking maybe Shari could help me with a rodeo in my hometown around here in Georgia, because we cover the whole state. Yes. What do you tell somebody? Because this obviously is a growing sport, even in the state of Georgia, where we don't often think of cowboys in Georgia, but there sure are a lot of them.
I'm going to tell you, if COVID did anything, it helped this industry, because so many businesses closed down. There was nothing to do. And rodeo is an outdoor sport for the most part. We do have some indoors, but most of it's outdoors. And I actually think our Carrollton rodeo was the first one to move forward once everything had shut down with the COVID problems. And we packed it out that year. It was probably 25% larger than it had been the year before. And so many people were just excited to get out. And I think it brought a lot of people that had no place to go, no movie theater, no bowling alley, things that they would normally do came out, and they love it. And it's just keeps rolling. Like every year it's getting bigger and bigger, and there's more people buying into the horse industry, more barrel racers, more reiners, more ropers. Everything has just grown from it. So I guess out of all the bad that came with it, I can say that was a positive that I saw for our industry anyway.
Well, business is good. If you want to get a hold of Shari, you can call her there at the Cowboy Shop, and she'll be happy to talk to you about it. This is a fun thing to do. It's fun to watch, everybody show up. The youth rodeo sports. Are you involved with any of that? I know there's several going on. The finals are coming up for one of the companies. But what's your involvement with the youth side of it?
Well, my boys are grown and in the military, so I don't have any children in it, but we do sponsor the rodeo down here, the Say Rodeo at Heard County, and the Little Britches rodeos. The kids obviously are our future generation. They're my customer. And I've seen so many people as adults now that were kids coming through my store, and now they have their own kids out here doing this. So we definitely try and stay really involved. All of the Say Rodeo members get discounts at the store with their membership cards. We do the Heard County barrel races also, and try and cultivate the youth coming. So it's definitely our customer, and we love to stay behind them.
I think that's great. Well, we had Emmy Reed on and Jackson Jones from the Rockin' 5L Rodeo. They've got their finals on October the 15th. And
yes,
our buddy Mark Ware is going to be up there performing at the finals. So we're pulling for him, and I think that's great. That's the on-ramp.
Yes, it definitely.
And that's the best part about this. If you want to come out, though, and see the Pro Rodeo show that Shari is putting on with the Cowboy Shop out there in Wedowee, how is the best way for them to find out how to come out there?
Okay, we have a Facebook page, Wedowee Roundup Pro Rodeo. It's got all the information on there. We'll have tickets at the Cowboy Shop starting the beginning of October. You can save $2 a ticket if you buy them in advance. At the gate, the adults are $20. Children 4 to 12 are $15, and 3 and under get in free. we'll be taking flyers out to all the local schools to try and give them a reminder. And of course, we'll have it on the radio and the billboards and all that good stuff. But the best way to do it is just to follow the Facebook page, because we'll keep all the updates on there.
I think that's great. Well, Shari, thanks for coming on this morning. Always great to hear from you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
you have
well, keep us in mind, and when you've got something else coming on. Thanks again, Shari.
We'll do it. Thank you.
Right.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back with singer-songwriter Zach Haines right after this.
Hi, this is Wade Peoples from Georgia Folk and Farm Life Radio. I'm here to tell you about Meeks Brothers Cattle Company. And you don't have to worry about supply chain issues or where your beef comes from. Do what I do and call Meeks Brothers Cattle Company today. You can get a whole, half, a quarter, any amount of beef you want. Good quality beef, vacuum packed, lasts up to 3 years in your freezer. It's grass-fed, grain-finished, made to order. Visit Meeks Brothers Cattle Company on Facebook today and tell them Brother Wade sent you. And that's Meeks Brothers Cattle Company. Thank you.
JCPenney is helping hardworking families across America save even more all Labor Day weekend. That's right, we got you. Celebrate a 4-day super savings weekend with 20% off already great prices. Plus, save an extra 10% across the store. That's extra savings in addition to our huge end of summer deals. Grab your coupon on the JCP app and save all you want. Shopping is back. JCPenney. Coupon required and valid on select styles 9.2 to 9.5. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So I used the savings from switching to Progressive 30 years ago to buy tickets to the championship game. You know, between those two teams that didn't exist 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm a big Alaska Palm Trees fan. Which is a team now? In the future?
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary. Matt Jolley, right here on Georgia Radio.
And welcome back to Neighbor, Matt Jolley. Here today with Zach Haines, singer-songwriter out of North Georgia, but that's not where he's from. We'll get into that right now. Zach, thanks for joining me this morning. Glad to be here with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Man, it's a pleasure to get to talk to you. You are in the Army, and that's where this all starts. You learned how to play guitar, I guess, before that, but all of this singer-songwriter stuff, it started up after the Army. Share that story with us.
Yeah, like I said, I got my first guitar when I was 10 from my grandmother, and learned how to play some chords from my uncle. He was a bass player, but he knew some chords on the guitar. So he kind of showed me some stuff. And back then, you know, we didn't have YouTube and stuff, so we had VHS tapes. So I'd gotten a couple of them from the library. And
on like how to play guitar?
Yeah, stuff like that. They would do
That's awesome.
Little lessons and stuff. So I'd watch that and try to pick up little things. And
where was
like
home
that.
for you? Let's start that out. Where was home?
Gladwin, Michigan is where I'm from. I was up there until 2005. I graduated in 2004, went in the Army in 2005, and then I've been gone ever since. But
what did you do in the Army when you were in service?
I was a cavalry scout. 19 Delta is what my MOS was.
Man, that's right where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun stuff we got to do. It's the cavalry scouts basically like recon, and so that's what we got trained to do, and a lot of land nav type stuff, and you know, then of course kicking indoors and
I started to say a lot of you know, eyes on the problem first, right? I mean, yeah.
We, you know, our job's kind of, I mean, originally when the cavalry was, you know, kind of created, our job was to go and be kind of unseen, and then kind of report back and, you know, tell everyone what was going on, and which kind of different now, you know, in today's standards. But
well, you're being very humble about it. I'll just tell everybody listening about this. You know, the crazy thing about this is the Army's never known for doing anything easy. And no, there's not an easy way to be a scout in today's Army, and it was not an easy road for you.
No, it wasn't. In 2006, Bradley, I was driving, got blown up by an anti-tank mine that was detonated when I was going up over a bridge, and pretty much, you know, took me out of the military. I was sent back and I had to heal up from my injuries and stuff. And so the last year I was in, I was attached to med unit in Fort Sam, Houston, and did kind of odd med jobs, driving families around that would come in to visit their service members that were there, or stuff like that. So
what's the big
last
hospital
year,
down there?
Brooke Army Medical Center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of burns and stuff down there too.
Yep. And that's where I had to go. I had a 3rd-degree burn on my leg that needed a skin graft. And so last year I was attached there. And so it was, it was a bittersweet thing. The day that I left to deploy to Iraq, my wife and I found out that she was actually pregnant. So it was one of them things where, it was just a game changer of how I had to think about stuff and how it changed my mentality. But I was able to come back and heal up and be able to see my son be born. So it was, like I said, it was bittersweet, but it all, worked out in the end.
Just thinking about that, you kind of glossed over that pre-deployment news there. And how long were you gone? I mean, that's a long deployment typically.
Yeah, it's it's supposed to be like a year to 15 months. I was wounded 90 days in is when I got hit. And then I think our unit was there for another probably 12 months, I think. Guys were there. But there was a lot of loss. We lost a lot of guys. A lot of, it just.
Well, and that weighs on you too, I'm guessing. I mean, 90 days in, and you want to be there. You want to be there with your team. And
well, you're kind of trained to, you got that mentality that, okay, if I get hurt, I'm going to heal up and then I'm going to go back, And so when I come back, my wife she was just my fiance then. So my mom actually had to kind of take her there and be, like, oh, she can come in here type deal, which, was crazy. But I kept telling them, I said, hey, I'm healing up and I'm going to head back. And they're like, are you kidding me? Like, just settle down, take a step back and just, but you just have that mentality. You got to get back to your guys, And so when something does happen, there's some guilt there that, but you just have to realize there may have not been anything you could have done anyways, and everything kind of just happens for a reason. It just worked. Life just works out like that sometimes.
So you're back home. You're down there at the Army Hospital, Fort Sam, Houston, Texas. Mm-hmm. Good place to be if you like guitar. That's my native state. So here we are, both in Georgia as transplants. But
I loved being in Texas. It was very interesting. What they say about everything's bigger in Texas. It's kind of true. It's a very unique place to be at, and I miss. There's a lot of guys that I know that still live down there and stuff, and I always want to get back and see them and take my son, show him where he was, born and raised for that first year and stuff. So
what brought you to North Georgia? Because there's a part here that I guess you come back to your wife at some point, becomes your wife, and then North Georgia. How did that fall into the equation?
Well, my brother-in-law and his wife had moved down here from Michigan. Her family was originally from down here. So we came to visit, I believe it was Thanksgiving, like the year before I actually got out. And we really liked it down here. And we're just kind of trying to figure out where we wanted to, plant our roots. And so we got down here, and him and I were going to start a spray foam insulation company. And we started that process. And then that was in 2008 when, the bottom kind of fell out of everything.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. We both decided it was best if we went a different route,
Yeah.
So he got into different stuff. And then I kind of was stay-at-home dad for a while. Like, I was medically retired out and still healing up from some of the wounds and stuff. And that's when I started writing. There's like a reintegration program that you kind of have to go through where you'll talk to a counselor or whatever. And they wanted me to keep a diary, and it just felt weird to me. So I used my love of playing guitar to kind of make up these songs about whatever, maybe what I was feeling about that day or something. It was songs that were never going to be recorded or anything like that, but that's kind of how I went through, we met in the middle. Instead of having a diary, I just had some songs and poems and stuff that I'd write and stuff like that. And then it kind of started to feel therapeutic, and I started to build off that and started writing actual songs and, and kind of getting my feet wet in the songwriting. Do
you consider yourself a singer or a songwriter?
I don't. I guess more of a songwriter. I've never claimed to have, an angelic voice or anything like that. I mean, some people like it. The studio process for me it's the hardest for the vocals, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it's so much insecurity, but you just want it to be the best they can be, and then you don't want to be the weak link in a song. If the lyrics are there and the music's there, you don't want the vocals to bring it down. So I'm extra, I put a lot of effort into practicing, the vocal parts and trying to get it just right. But I guess I would consider myself more songwriter.
I love your stuff. I was going through some of it this morning, and there's one that you've just been playing with, I guess, about change. And I mean, you have some really powerful topics because of your life history and what you've been through that you're just not afraid to tackle. And what I love about your style is, I know you said you didn't have any formal guitar lessons, but man, those VHS tapes paid off because you've got some really great sound coming out of that guitar. And I love that it's
thank you.
And most of your stuff is just you and the guitar. As a radio guy, coming up in the industry and then, working in all facets of it, there's nothing worse than a long intro on a new artist album. You get this like minute and a half of instrumental, and then you're like, oh my God, just sing. Let's just see what you got. Man, with you, you're right in your face. And that's what's so amazing about your stuff is whatever you think is short on the short-sided side, man, you come out punching, and it's just incredible stuff. So we're going to link that. Well, I'm serious. We're going to link your YouTube page or whatever you want into the show story so folks can find you, because you're having some success. You're signed up with some publishing companies, and that's great. They're putting your stuff out there. You've got 2 studio albums out, if I understand that right.
Yep, 2 full albums out and then a bunch of singles that we've released. And I've transitioned more into doing the single stuff. I find I have more success with just doing a single and being able to push that rather than a full album.
There's a lot of folks doing that right now, and I think that's where we're at today, right? And
well, yeah, the industry's changed so much that, I mean, there's streaming platforms and there's so much music readily available that I feel personally that if you put out 12 songs, a lot of them songs might get overlooked just because,
Yeah.
So it's,
well, I mean, look back,
right?
Like look back into the day when it was 2 sides of a 45, and so,
right.
I mean,
it's kind of the same.
It's not like we're doing anything different here. Talk to me about your first album, Hitting the Ground, because there's a whole lot in that album.
Yeah, that came. So the first song that I had written that kind of got my wife on board with this whole singer-songwriter kind of idea was in 2013. We had lost our daughter, and I wrote the song called Burns, and it kind of went through the whole process of me viewing what my wife went through, and what she endured through the whole incident, catastrophe, whatever you want to call it. And so I wrote that, and I don't exactly remember if it was 3 months later, 5 months later, I can't remember. But I remember I played it for her, and I was really nervous to sing it, so I just recorded it and sent it to her. And she would, she called, and she was really emotional and stuff, and she said, I'm a believer. I think you could probably do this if you really put your mind to it. Like this proves to me. And so that was kind of, my big moment of like, okay, I think I'm going to do this. And she's been my biggest supporter since the beginning. So a lot of them songs in there came out of personal experience and things I've been through in life and stuff like that. So it was kind of the first introduction of what, I wanted to be as a songwriter.
So I'm just playing this over in my head here. You're sitting there at home writing this song. You're like, oh man, I got this. I'm going to send it to her. So she's not at home and you send her this highly emotional piece.
Yeah.
Well, where was she? Zach, was she?
I'm sure she was probably at work.
So, hey, listen to this.
I've always sprung it on her because I know, I'll get an honest reaction from her if I just send it,
Yeah.
So either, so any emotion that I can get
is good. Yeah.
I take it as a good, so
I love it.
If it makes her sad, then I'm happy, mad.
Right.
I know I'm all right. We're on track. Something here.
Her coworkers,
some kind of,
like what happened?
Right.
I think it's great. I love your stuff. I love what you're doing. Where are you playing right now? Where can folks come hear you?
I'm playing all over Georgia, most North Georgia, but a lot of breweries, taverns. Play a lot at like Brazelton Brewery, Butt Hut in Athens. There's Southern Brewing Company in Monroe, up at Dahlonega Brewery, Still Fire Brewing. It's just if there's a brewery around, I'm probably playing there or going to be there.
You're on the brew tour. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Well, I want to start playing your stuff on Georgia radio. Can we do that?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, you send some stuff over that you want us to play, and we're going to make sure we hammer it. I just love your story. I love what you're doing, Zach. Zach Haines, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us this morning.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
Well, my thanks to Zach Haines. Of course, my thanks to Shari Wilkins. And my thanks to you for hanging out with me this morning. Always great stuff. Got a lot of great music coming up later on today. And, of course, tonight, Wednesday night, the encore presentation of Classic Country and Request. If there's something you want to hear on Classic Country and Request or just any time, download our new My Georgia Radio app. That's the important part, My Georgia Radio app. The My Georgia Radio app in the Apple Store and on Google Play. Works in your car and truck. You just plug it right in. You can also just say, hey, Alexa, launch My Georgia Radio, or hey, Alexa, play My Georgia Radio. You've got a smart speaker. It'll just start playing. Very, very easy. The Wedowee Roundup Pro Rodeo, October 21st and 22nd. Got to go see that just over the border there. Right there at the Randolph County Equine and Ag Center. Again, gates open up at 5:30 Central Time. Got to remember that. The time changes right across the state line there. Rodeo at 7:30 Central Time. So get on out there to Wedowee. Support our neighbors out there to the west, October 21st and 22nd. But Miss Shari from the Cowboy Shop's the one putting it on. So right there in Roopville, Georgia, your cowboy outfitting headquarters in the state of Georgia. You can go to any of these other big box stores, but when you go out there to the Cowboy Shop, it's a small business, and they sure appreciate the support. So get out there and see them. All right, next week on this show, we're going to have a lot of fun, so I hope you can tune in. I'm going to be on the road the next few days. I've got to get up to Kansas City for a big air show there with Garmin. And it'll be poetic if I get lost on the way to the Garmin Air Show. We'll see how that goes. But the big air show up there in Kansas City. So if you're on the road this weekend and you're headed to Kansas, I'll be up there, and I look forward to seeing you. The following weekend for me, it's Baltimore, Maryland for Navy Fleet Week. And then on out to San Diego, the former Top Gun headquarters there at Miramar, and then Los Angeles to round out the year. Gonna be fun. We'll talk to you next week. So long for now.
Georgia Radio. Good company and great country.
Enjoying the country music.
JCPenney is helping hardworking families across America save even more all Labor Day weekend. That's right, we got you. Celebrate a 4-day super savings weekend with 20% off already great prices. Plus, save an extra 10% across the store. That's extra savings in addition to our huge end of summer deals. Grab your coupon on the JCP app and save all you want. Shopping is back. JCPenney. Coupon required and valid on select styles 9.2 to 9.5. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.